4-2 over the Golden Knights. Maple Leafs beat the Wild 4-2. Lightning 3, Canadians 1. Flames 3, Flyers 1. And the Coyotes double up on the Jets 4-2. I'm Jay Berman.
Follow us anytime on Twitter. Our handle is @CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
Grab your controllers, grab your keyboards, grab your friends.
Because it's time to squad up.
PC Gamers presents Squad Up. Now join the comms with Clutch Key, K-Tad, Brad J, and Coltoon 2000.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to our latest episode of Squad Up. This is the fourth episode here of Squad Up, and we've got something good going because later on in the hour, we're going to have our very own Professor Leighton come in to come up with his League of Legends stuff, but also about casting around the world, or about the casting parts and all that. But we have something interesting as well to talk about because the League of Legends World Championships Week 1 is done, and it's quite interesting to find out what's going on there because we know two of the teams are undefeated, but it's just a shakeup in the rest of it.
It's a fun time to watch. There's a lot of things going on, but we will definitely be diving into all of that as we go on with the show tonight.
Oh yeah, it'll get very interesting to find out about that. But we also have one question that we always ask at the beginning of the show, and that is, what is esports? But Brother Jay volunteered to ask this question today.
Yeah, so I have a very fond memory of esports, mostly because I grew up as a sports fan myself. And this is one article that I read in the Esports Observer that we've been talking about is G2 Esports, one of the undefeated teams at League of Legends Worlds this year. They actually teamed up with Domino's in Germany to host a bunch of events. They have promos going on. So big companies are taking notice of esports. And if you look at esports the way that esports is watched, it really does remind me of just the sports atmosphere. I mean, it's what I would do with my friends. You know, we'd all go to the house, we'd order some pizza, maybe Domino's, and we would, crack open some cold ones and watch the games. That's just what it was. Like, it feels like we're watching a sporting event. That to me, that's what esport is. It's just that same camaraderie and that same competitiveness brought into competitive gaming.
Domino's, we hungry? So, just so you know, Domino's. Shout out to you, Domino's. We are hungry. We are young men. We are hungry.
And it's also around dinner time right about now. So, I mean, Domino's would be a great thing to have right about now. I want to go over one thing real quick, too, because just one question for the room here. Is there one sponsor that you guys really like for your teams, at least, that, are very, very interesting? Because, I know K-Tad is wearing his Team Solo Mid, and our guest coming up here, Professor Leighton, he's wearing his own stuff as well. At least for me, like the San Francisco Shock, they've had the Marvel Avengers thing for a while, which is pretty amazing to have. So I think that's at least for me. K-Tad, do you have one special one?
I actually, the one that I think is very interesting to talk about is Gillette. Gillette sponsoring TSM, although kind of weird. It was one of those. It's actually a genius play when you think about it, because you're a kid, right? If you're a young guy growing up, you don't really know about shaving, or if you don't, you learn it from your dad or whatever. And then Gillette came in and it was like, hey, we want to sponsor your team. They made a great commercial for Bjergsen, and then I was like, okay, yeah, that's a great, to me, it was a very interesting one to see versus what you might normally get around with sponsors.
What about you, Colton? I know you have a lot of teams that you could think of. Is there any sponsor that you think stands out to you for these kinds of things? Because I know, again, Domino's were hungry, so it's around dinner time right about now. But I mean, Papa John's has been a thing for the NFL for a little while too, and it's like different pizza places like Pizza Hut has been involved. And then lots of other big franchises and all that too. Is there one that stands out in your mind?
I do have a lot of teams, yes, that I do like to follow. He
doesn't have just one jersey for one team.
He has multiple.
That's the hard thing. Although looking over at K-Tad's jersey, I really like the Dr. Pepper. When they paired up with Dr. Pepper, TSM paired up with Dr. Pepper, and their ad is actually really funny. I personally really like their ad. But overall, I think that's a really cool one as well. It kind of stretches over the same idea as the whole Domino's area. So,
yeah. So you guys are totally missing the point here. So, so I'm looking to start my own team. Okay, Hawaiian Hammers. Anybody out there looking to join a league team? Hawaiian Hammers.
League team.
Okay, but hear me out. I'm looking for a sponsor that has yet to enter the game yet because I'm just revolutionary like that. I'm looking for that Zippy sponsorship, boys. Like, you guys are missing it here. You guys are totally missing it here. Like, these teams already have sponsors. I'm making my own team. I'm getting Zippies as my sponsor.
Once again, Zippies, we hungry. Once again, Zippies, we hungry.
You know what? You know what? The great thing about it is our show always lines up around dinner time. All right, let's get things started.
It's time to recap the week in esports. Get ready to strike the scores.
Big weekend for League of Legends as the Week 1 World Championships group stages starts off here. And only 2 teams, of course there's 4 groups, so only 2 teams remain undefeated. G2 Esports and SK Telecom T1 lining up at 3-0 right now, lining up themselves for a great positioning to go into the knockout rounds if they keep this up. Otherwise, in an all-around Group D, this is the one that's very interesting. Team Liquid, IG, and Down1 Gaming are all alive in their own rights because they're all 2-1. And we can all assume that we know the one team that they beat, AHQ Esports, at 0-3. In Group B, however, a little bit of a shakeup, and I think some of us are surprised at this point. Fun Plus Phoenix and J-Team lining up at a 2-1 record, and Splice lining up with 1-2 alongside GAM Esports. So a little bit of a shakeup there. We'll talk about that coming up later on. Rocket League Championship Series Week 2 for the EU and the NA underway here, and in 3-2 fashions, a lot of 3-2 games this week for week number 2, but the biggest one is the Pittsburgh Knights upsetting Cloud9, and Colton's kind of pinching his nose a little bit if you can't see this, but that's a big one upset. Also in the 3-2 fashion, Dignitas beating Complexity and Mouse beating FC Barcelona in a sweep-like fashion of 3-0. Energy beating G2, so Energy looking to get back here in a little while after a slow start, but Energy is back with a 3-0, as well as Ghost Gaming beating Rogue, which I think is a very big win for Ghost Gaming. And of course, we always like to talk about the Manoa Overwatch team, their TESPA season coming over right now as they take on they actually took on an SEC team, the University of Georgia, the Bulldogs, although they would lose that 0-2, very close games, losing 100-98, 199 on Busan, and then, of course, Kings Row losing by just a little bit, not even that. It was super close. You guys can watch that on UHM Overwatch's Twitch page. Team A also going against Concordia and Rochester IT. Again, super close games if you watch it. But overall, both teams going a combined 2-2. Congratulations to the UHM Overwatch teams. They will be again playing next week at 2 o'clock p.m. and 3:30 p.m. And you can check it out on Twitch at UHM Overwatch. And that is Strike the Scores for segment number 4. And a lot to talk about here in the world of esports as well. If you look at the news, I think the biggest one came out just a few hours ago, at least today, before we started the show. And that kind of shook things up in our run of show. But first and foremost, let's start off a little light with the stories. And I think that this is probably my favorite story of them all, just because it's Overwatch.
Yeah, is it because it's an Overwatch article?
But it's because this is how far esports is making it. The other night, on this past Sunday night, Sinatra and Super, 2 players from the Overwatch League championship team, the San Francisco Shock, appeared on the Jimmy Fallon show. Appeared on a late night talk show and brought the Overwatch League trophy with them so that Jimmy Fallon could hold on to it and whatever too. And here's an interesting part of that too. Afterwards, Jimmy Fallon follows the Overwatch League Twitter and all of the 20 teams' Twitter pages as well. So now every single Overwatch League team is on the radar for Jimmy Fallon. I think that is super cool knowing that a talk show host on national television is paying attention to esports now.
I mean, I think in general, right, you're just seeing overall attention coming out to everyone across the board, no matter what game it is. If it's one of the top 3, top 5, right, people are paying attention, people are watching. The fun one for me is when NBA teams got involved, the Golden State Warriors, right, Houston, Cleveland. When they actually, not a lot of people know this, but when they played the first week of LCS, when they first created their teams, the winning team from that year, I believe it was Golden State, brought the trophy, the NBA trophy, to the LCS, and they had a tent, and they were like, "Come look at our, the Golden State trophy. Like, this is the NBA. We won the NBA, and now we're here at LCS." And I think that's so huge.
I'd also like to point out too that this is the first time in esports, or one of the few times I think I've seen 1 or 2, but one of the few times that an esports team has actually been on a talk show for one segment. I think it's one of the few times I've seen it. Brother Jay's got something.
Yeah, so I think one cool thing about this entire thing with the night shows is that it's no longer esports reaching out to main outlets to get their name out there. Now it's like the mainstream media is coming to esports because they understand the pull that esports brings, and that like this is the future. If you look at people who are very smart, people who are investing in esports are some of the better investors in the game, and that's what's driving people to come to esports as opposed to esports going out and trying to get attention.
Well, and to add on that, and what we've also said before is that when you look at esports as a whole, esports has grown vast. Like the amount of people that they bring in is crazy, and especially in comparison to sports.
All right, so let's move on here, because other than the Jimmy Fallon show, there's also I don't know if we're gonna have time for the Call of Duty World League thing, but because I think the announcement that was made a few hours ago is pretty important if you're a League of Legends person.
Let's just get it out the way real quick.
Yeah,
COD announced 6 million prize pool.
I mean, that's a huge prize pool. I mean, they're trying to do this Overwatch League style too, because I think Call of Duty is with Blizzard and all that too. So they're trying to.
They're trying. Blizzard
they're trying.
But yeah. Anyways,
let's go ahead and move on. 6 mil, no big deal. No. But it really is a big deal. And I don't know. I mean, how many teams were there? 12 teams. Okay, so there are 12 teams. And I'm assuming based in different cities because these are franchise teams as well. So we'll be keeping our eye on that. And I know at least 3 of us in here will probably be paying attention to that. So at least 4 of us too. I know Brother Jay was saying the other day. I'm not too sure if he was too interested in this one.
I mean, I like COD. I'll play it.
All right, well, let's go.
I'll wreck you.
All right. I wouldn't say that. All right, League of Legends coming out. Actually, Riot Games, everybody's been making this joke lately that Riot, or not lately, but for a while, that Riot Games is just Riot Game. As in their only game has been League of Legends.
Yeah.
But now they come out with this announcement for their 10-year anniversary. I know one person in here is super, super excited about it. He's our in-guest studio. Leighton Martin will come on here in just a second. But it's a big, big news, and I think a lot of you guys know about it by now. But go ahead, K-Tad, and explain it to us of what they were saying about it.
All right, so it's 10 years in, right? Riot Games, they've been teasing that they had this really big announcement for kind of a while now, and it ends up being way bigger than anybody could have even imagined. You know, some people were thinking maybe they'll announce a new champ, maybe they'll announce a new game mode or something. No, they come out the gates swinging with not only just new projects, but new IPs, a bunch of stuff. So just run you guys down the list real quick. They've got number 1. They're doing a first-person shooter game that is outside of the League of Legends intellectual property, so that's an interesting one because they're outside of the IP. But within the IP itself, they also are going to be having a role-playing game, a fighting game, a card game, TFT coming to your phone, a mobile version of League of Legends that's coming to your phone, and on top of everything, an anime.
Anime?
Anime.
Are you kidding? Okay, first of all, I'd like to elaborate. For the folks that don't know what an anime is, it's basically a cartoon like with Japanese
style
cartoons, right? But now League of Legends is trying to get into kind of like like I've seen Ruby. Ruby kind of counts, doesn't it?
I guess, but I mean, it's interesting because it's a whole idea that, you know how people say every time like companies release game trailers that have story, and it's like, you should make a movie out of that. They should make a show out of that. Right? Literally went, yeah, okay, we can do that. Yeah, let's do it. And that's what we have.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a company just expand on one game as much as they have. They were just like, oh, you like League? Well, how about have all the things League? It's just like, it's crazy the amount of stuff that they're putting out right now. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. Like, I think I might be late to shows and like be on my phone playing TFT during the show. Like, I might lose my job on the radio because of this announcement.
I think this can go both ways though, when you think about it too, because now you're involving a bigger audience with these different games. Like before, it was only just like a mobile or just Teamfight Tactics, but now I guess you can add on different things. Like I heard it was supposed to be sort of in the style of Overwatch with the FPS.
Yeah,
kind
similar.
of thing.
It looks very similar to Overwatch.
Very similar. So you're adding in a different audience now, and you know it's a great time to kind of bring up that FPS with everything that's going on in the world. But you're kind of thinking that maybe you're involving a bigger thing. But how is Riot going to live up to it? That's the question. Because I think I've heard that they've tried it before and it hasn't worked out, from what I remember. But
they had the fighting game for a while now. It was kind of like their not so greatly kept secret that they had this fighting game. But
right.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that they got money. Riot got money.
Right. Oh, plenty of money. Are you kidding me?
Riot got money to spend on these projects, so let's see what they do, because honestly, the League IP is so expansive and it's so detailed and so in-depth that...
Wait, but no Battle Royale?
You don't know the shooter's not a Battle Royale yet.
Ooh,
we don't know.
Spicy.
That's the announcement was just made, but don't think there are going to be more in the future. So maybe we'll find out if there is a Battle Royale. Maybe I don't know, Fortnite comes to Fortnite Cross League of Legends, Fortnite Cross
Yeah,
Riot
that'll
games.
be the day.
That'll be the day. All right.
And world peace.
When we come back, we have our in-house guest coming up here, Professor Leighton Martin. He is giving us the face, saying he is almost ready to go. He will be on here on mic and on camera in just a second. And when we come back, we talk to him about casting as well as the League of Legends World Championships. You're listening to Squad Up on CBS Sports Radio.
The all-new Rainbow Warrior Athletics calendar posters are here. Just stop by Jamba Hawaii stores, downtown, Ward, or Stadium Mall. Pick up your poster for free. While you're there, try the new Vanilla Blue Sky Smoothie from Jamba Hawaii.
Can't get enough Hawaii volleyball? Sports Travel Hawaii presents the Rainbow Wahine Volleyball pregame show. Join Josh Pacheco before every home match as he brings you match previews, special guests, the Big West scoreboard, and more. It's a full hour live from the Stan Sheriff Center concourse.
Hi, I'm Bobby Curran.
And we're the Sports Animals.
The Honolulu Star Advertiser Football Fever is happening now. We're giving away a Vacations Hawaii trip for two to Vegas every week. One winner will win a Big Green Egg Kamado Grill at the end of the promotion.
Match or beat the score of each week's winning panelists for your chance to win. Find the official ballot in the Star Advertiser every Monday through Wednesday.
For complete details, look in the Star Advertiser. Mahalo to Long's Drugs, Mercedes-Benz of Honolulu, Nom Nom Convenience Store, and Hawaiian Telcom.
What's up, Hawaii? It's UFC lightweight contender Yancy Medeiros here to tell you about one of my team members. Sports Travel Hawaii's always got my back, providing the best customer service, airline, hotel, and rental-car prices. I can always count on Sports Travel Hawaii to get me to my fights and training camps, as they're always in my corner. Call them now, 395-9541, or visit their website at sportstravelhawaii.com for all your travel needs. Sports Travel Hawaii, let our team secure a win for you. Chee!
Aloha business owners and keepers of finance. Did you contract with an HR outsourcing firm only to be forgotten by them? They promise to give you the lowest possible rates from healthcare to workers' comp, employment taxes, and admin fees, but have they delivered? Dig a bit and you might be surprised. Do you really have the lowest possible unemployment tax rate? How about the healthcare rates you deserve? Are they capping your payroll taxes, and have they lowered your admin fees over time?
Maybe it's time for a thorough HR audit. Hi, I'm Valerie Wang, president of Makai HR, created by some of the brightest minds in the industry. Makai HR is built for Hawaii, giving businesses a superior HR experience at the best possible prices. No annual contract, only HR solutions tailored to your business, 24/7.
For a free HR audit, call 451-0000 or visit MakaiHR.com.
Makai HR, built for Hawaii.
Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is proud to bring you high school football on CBS Sports Radio. Every week, we'll bring you the best teams and matchups from around the state, culminating with the HHSAA State Championships, presented by Shopo. Also brought to you by Straub Medical Center, Hawaii Iron Workers Union, Lean 2 Financial, Castle Resorts and Hotels, Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union, Hawaii Building and Construction Trade Council, PAXA, Hardware Hawaii, and IBEW Local 1186.
You're locked in to Squad Up, presented by PC Gamers on CBS Sports Radio and the Sideline Hawaii app.
We asked him for his walk-up music, and this is what we couldn't put John Cena on, so this is what we got out of it anyways. Welcome back here to CBS Sports Radio and our show Squad Up, our fourth episode. K-Tad, Brother J, Coltoon 2000, and my name is Clutch Key here with you. And now our in-house guest, and it's Professor Leighton Martin. We talked about him show number 1, and he's here in show number 4. How's that, folks?
He's basically just our resident meme lord among the local esports community.
Basically,
that's,
I think that's a good
very fair statement, I think.
Okay, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with his mic right now. We got to find out what's going on. But I think there's a mic that's unplugged on his side. Brother Jay, go check that out because I think something was unplugged over there. See if we can get that. All right, try talk now.
Hello.
All right, there he is. All right, so first and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about this because we'll talk about League of Legends Worlds in a second in your opinion. But first and foremost, we know that you're a caster. In the world of like League of Legends, like with PC Gamers and all that. You've been to KawaiiCon casting with Eugen and Magnets and all that as well. What's it like being a caster for League of Legends here in Hawaii?
I mean, definitely it's gotten a lot bigger in the last couple of years. Like when I first came to PC Gamers, I saw K-Tad, of course, being a shoutcaster, and for those who don't know, shoutcaster basically pretty much a fancy way of saying commentator. There's two forms of commentary: play-by-play or analyst. Same like how NBA and the football do it as well. But it's honestly been really amazing. You meet all sorts of people, like the fans, other commentators, even like you guys, like the backstage kind of folks. So it's definitely really amazing to see all these different people based on just one game, League of Legends.
Yeah, all right. So as the person who kind of brought you in, what was it like being brought in as a caster? What was your initial experiences in the beginning, and how would you recommend for anybody new that might be interested in casting? What do you think they should be doing to get into this?
I mean, when I first started, when you brought me into it, was definitely tough because, at first, I want to be a play-by-play, but eventually I, settled down being in the analyst role. And it definitely took some time because I thought I knew a lot about the game, but once I actually got into it, I figured out I did not know that much about League of Legends on an analytical point of view. But honestly, it's been a good experience. You learn so much about the game, people's play styles and how it is. And people that want to get into it, I say just go for it. It doesn't mean much. Like, just play with some friends, just watch their game, just do play-by-play, talk about like what they can do better, but just get into it. Like, the world is yours,
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, too, that Kate, between the three monkeys back here, he calls us the monkeys over here. He's the boss of all of us when we go to conventions like KawaiiCon in May and then Comic-Con in August. When we put on these esports conventions that we have, he's the big boss of them all. But I'd also like to point out, too, that in our studio, three of us have collared shirts on. This is the first time I'm ever wearing a collared shirt because I'm usually wearing San Francisco Shock jerseys.
Messed up, son.
But in this episode, I'm the one wearing a collared shirt, and K-Tad and Leighton over here are having a little bit of a rivalry going on because one is Team Solo Mid and one is Team Liquid. But one made it to the World Championship, one just avoided
that's
it.
why you wanted to do this bit.
But
All right.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying. There might be a little bit of a rivalry going on between these two.
I mean, there's always been a rivalry here. It's always been a rivalry, K-Tad.
It's always been a rivalry.
I don't know.
I mean, can it be a rivalry unless you guys are both good at the same time?
Before 2017, TL didn't even exist.
Exactly.
So, I mean, do you even count a rival if they didn't matter up until
what I'm saying.
last year?
All right, guys. Save the scrap for outside the studio.
No scrap right now.
All right, Leighton, I want to ask you another question because in the world of casting, it's sort of similar to the world of sports as well.
Yeah.
Like you hear the sports analysts, you hear the sports play-by-play, but what makes casting for an esport like League of Legends so intriguing to you, and why do you keep doing it?
I mean, it's interesting because you pretty much see like what the players see. Like there's no like how for like NBA you see like a very far point of view. Like League of Legends, like what you see on the screen is what the players see as well. So you see every movement, the wards, the placements, the characters themselves, and what they do in these giant fights. So it's definitely like how you see it, and I enjoy that. Like you see like exact point of view, and you can build up the hype for those moments as well as you can like see like what they can do as well in future fights.
And I want to point this out too that how long have you been doing this for? I think you've been doing it longer than
2 to 3 years now. I think.
Has it been just
almost 3 years now? I'm pretty sure.
Is that about right? When he
Leighton's time as a caster is about 3 years. Yeah, I mean, because I trained him, so.
He is sensei.
But I'd like to point out as well that casting is not just a thing where you have to be brought up where K-Tad brought up Leighton. It's a world where in this time, like there's different leagues or different games and groups and all that you can get into casting by yourself. You don't even have to have professional experience to have done this before. You can just get into it and all that. So what's it like? Before we Colton has a question, but just one question for you is since K-Tad brought you up in with casting and all that, have you kind of expanded your horizons to different leagues as well?
I mean, I definitely tried for Overwatch a bit. I definitely have to get a bit better at it. I know you've told me you've helped me out a bit in the future, but I want to get back. I tried Smash Brothers for a bit. I'm bad at Smash Brothers, so I'm gonna
Super Smash Brothers is the fighting game for Nintendo, by the way. So yeah, that's the one.
But definitely right now, main focus League. I want to try to see if I can get other games in the future though. Definitely, it's like.
You should definitely add Civ 6 to your repertoire.
God. The running Civ 6.
Every show he has to put it in.
Civ 6, you got to get on it.
Well, I do think also I would like to give credit to you guys as well. Like League of Legends Overwatch, when looking at it, it's a very skill-based game. And what I mean by that is in the game, there are 4 to 5 skills per champion, per hero, depending on the game. And knowing the names of it, knowing how they work, it's a lot different to look at that in comparison to a game like Rocket League. Rocket League is cars, boost, they score a goal. I mean, there's smalls in and outs, but League has so much more to talk about, and I think that that's such an impressive thing looking at a League caster in comparison to something like Rocket League, where you have those little comparisons, and I don't know how you guys do it, but I'm fine working behind the scenes. I'll stay quiet.
I'd also like to point out no. I'd also like to point out too that it's in the world of esports casting, it's also a little bit different too. Just like you mentioned, like Overwatch and League of Legends, in kind of like regular sports. Let's compare it to this. Where in like regular sports, like in football or baseball, you see what's going on, and you can like analyze it all you want, but there's not too much change to the way the game is played. Whereas in the world of esports now, there's always patch notes and different things that you have to adapt to. And there's new heroes that come out for Overwatch, new champions that come out for League of Legends as well. So I mean, there's lots of things going on, and to be able to cast it is difficult enough to do. And sometimes we don't have, like, you watch these announcers, they have boards for like football, like their, the player number, their name, their height, their weight, and what school they came from, or what, if you're in college or high school, what team you're going out of as well. But you see it, yeah. They have no. I'll be the first one to tell you, because I mean, Josh Pacheco, Bobby Curran, all the talk show hosts here, when they go out to announce these games, they have these big boards telling you information about the players. Well, in most cases in esports, you're not going to have that kind of board. You basically have to go off of game knowledge to know what's going on here. So another question for you, Leighton, at least in your perspective, with all the differences, what makes it, for you at least, with all the patch notes and the differences, does it get any harder, or does it make it easier or harder to adjust when these patch notes come out?
I mean, a little bit of both, because like after a while, if you play this game for a long time and you do like all these like commentary roles, that you eventually learn these champions, as well as like their skill ranges, their skill shots, and like everything about them, like their cooldowns. But when there's a new champion or big changes, like it definitely takes some time to get used to, because like if they do one change, it changes a lot of other aspects of the game, like removing an item, new champion, map changes. Like it's so big, especially like in this world of video games.
Yeah, and so I mean, just for anyone listening who's because for me this has been a thing for a long time now, because I've always wanted to see casters in Hawaii grow. I've always wanted to see casters in Hawaii get better. I don't want anyone to feel discouraged or maybe even disheartened or even scared about casting because of all of this you're hearing. There is a higher level of analysis. There's a very high ceiling with when it comes to casting, right? How can you be a caster? The mechanics of how do you talk? How do you make your voice sound good? How do you take a hand off from your partner? There's a lot of things like that, and not only just inside of the game, but also just in general. But there's so many ways to just get involved, and I truly think, for me at least, there is no better feeling than when you do a good cast and people enjoy watching the broadcast, that you feel like, wow, I was a part of that. I had a hand in that. And that to me, for anyone who might be listening or watch this later, if you even want to just be a part of that, by all means, try it out. Try just talking to your friends about a game, and that's actually a good place to start.
Yeah, I think what K-Tad's trying to say is, if you want to try it, just go for it. I mean, take risks in life. That's one of the ones that I've seen K-Tad take and I've seen Leighton take, and it's worked out beautifully for them. And I think also what K-Tad is trying to say is, if you learn how, come see Sensei. Sensei learn you how.
Yeah,
Sensei learn you how?
Roger that.
Pretty much, yeah.
We're talking with Leighton Martin. He is a caster for League of Legends with PC Gamers, as well as different conventions as well. Leighton, we want to get to one thing and one thing only. That your team. Yes. And we've talked about, I think, casting, but now we want to move on a little bit here, because his opinion is very biased towards one team here. And he in studio, if you're watching this on Twitch, he is wearing a Team Liquid jersey and
a special edition.
Wait, that's not a garbage bag?
Not a garbage bag, but it's a special edition.
Oh no! But he is wearing a Team Liquid. His team is in the World Championships, and so far so good, 2-1. In the group. And how are you feeling about their chances for the knockout rounds?
Hey man, technically we're first place right now. A win's a win.
A win's a win.
Unlike TSM, a win's a win.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
K-Tad versus Leighton might be happening outside the studio.
That's UFC 246 is Leighton versus K-Tad.
I hope you know that every time you say this, I'm secretly just TL loses a couple CS every time you say it.
Hey man,
Double Lift just misses one creep every time you trash.
But it doesn't matter, because we have impact.
Ooh, okay, you're right.
Okay, the jargon is going on a little bit. So again, we'll explain this to the folks that don't understand. CS is a way to in game to get more gold, more money for your character as well. So we have actually. I'd also like to point out too. You guys can go ahead, and we have our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. it is Squad Up HI. So go ahead and follow those. And we also, during the show, Twitch at ESPN_HNL is up. And I believe we just saw a comment on Twitch that you're very interested in, K-Tan.
No, it's another friend of ours who's chiming in. C-Fox says he's a C9 fan. Stop it.
Hello?
Which up until maybe like 2 years ago, you kind of were
Hey,
a C9
I was a Curse fan back in season 3, okay? And then Curse rebranded to Team Liquid.
Flip-flopper.
He keeps wearing C9 jackets, though.
If you want to make a comment, go ahead and put it on the Twitch channel. Once again, ESPN_HNL is our Twitch page, and you can also follow us again on Squad Up HI on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're going to be taking a short break here. When we come back, we're going to be reviewing our picks. We posted these picks on social media. We made these picks last week, and now we get to chime in after the halfway point of the League of Legends group stages. So when we come back, we actually get to chime in about our picks and see if we were right or not. This is CBS Sports Radio, and this is Squad Up.
The stage is set for one of Major League Baseball's most compelling postseasons ever. Sports Stand Sporting Goods, Paradigm Waterproof Vinyl Flooring, and Royal Purple Motor Oil proudly present the Major League Baseball postseason. Follow the action right here as the best teams in baseball compete for a spot in the World Series.
A powerful threat calls for a greater response.
Not tomorrow.
Not in a few years.
But right now.
Some battles must be faced together. Cancer fighters stand up to cancer every day, and you can be part of this battle too.
Visit standuptocancer.org to learn more.
Together, we can save lives.
Aloha, and welcome to the University of Hawaii Minute with UH News. I'm Janica Pasqua, a UH student. A new sustainability minor equivalent available at UH's community colleges has a locally focused approach toward general education requirements. Rebecca Tang is one of the first students to finish the minor equivalent at Kapiolani Community College.
I felt like it gave me a different perspective on the same issue, a perspective from biology, a perspective from English literature, a perspective from Pacific Island communities.
The minor equivalent introduces students to the science of climate change and the value of indigenous knowledge systems. The sustainability designated courses are wide-ranging and count toward core requirements.
I would encourage any student who is going into any major to take the sustainability minor. It really feels like you're taking courses that are adding to you as a person.
This has been the University of Hawaii Minute.
Can't get enough Hawaii volleyball? Sports Travel Hawaii presents the Rainbow Wahine Volleyball pregame show. Join Josh Pacheco before every home match as he brings you match previews, special guests, the Big West scoreboard, and more. It's a full hour live from the Stan Sheriff Center concourse.
5914 Shoot-a-wah, who's got the best deals in Vegas around? Call 5914 today. Vacations Hawaii. Vacations Hawaii. Vacations Hawaii. Good luck, we go play. 5914 today. Good luck, we go play.
AT&T now presents the new mobile events Ready to Go channel in Hawaii. AT&T Mobile Events is the only service that delivers free smartphone promotions to everywhere you live and work. Come see for yourself on site Monday through Friday at locations like Dillingham Plaza, Coco Marina Center, Stadium Marketplace, Micronesian Mart, and so many others. Just mention this commercial and you'll instantly qualify for one of the free phone promotions today. All from the new mobile events team in Hawaii. AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing.
You're listening to Squad Up, presented by PC Gamers on CBS Sports Radio and CBSSportsHawaii.com.
I promise a Rickroll every show. This one's a little faster, but we welcome you to Squad Up here on CBS Sports Radio. And you can also listen to us live on the free Sideline Hawaii app, CBSSportsHawaii.com, as well as on Twitch at ESPN_HNL. K-Tad, Brother J, Coltoon 2000, Clutch Key here, along with our in-house guest, Leighton Martin, or Professor Leighton as we like to call him. And let's go back, ladies and gentlemen, a week ago where we made our group stage picks for the League of Legends World Championships. Now, we told you the standings before, and let me go back to it one more time, where 2 undefeated teams, G2 and SK Telecom. I think most of us had G2 at least. The SKT pick's a little questionable for us, some of us here. And then some surprising for some of us. For some of us, we're looking at KTAD. Let's go back to our picks here, and I want to ask a question. We'll go around the house here real quick, and across the river from us at least. We'll start off with KTAD. First thing, one thing you learned from week number 1 and what you watched so far after 3 matches for each team.
One thing I've definitely learned this week is that things are not as definitely not as different as we would have thought, right? You walked into this tournament, although I've been kind of preaching this the whole time, but these teams are a lot closer than we thought they were, than people would have liked to think they are. And one thing I have learned this year, more so than other years, is that experience at the World Championship matters so much more now than it ever did previously. Before, you could just come from a good region and that would be all the experience you would ever need. This year, not so much. We're seeing that with FunPlus kind of faltering in their first couple games. SKT looking shaky, even though they have a lot of veterans on their squad. Damwon, Griffin, a bunch of other teams, Splice even, looking a little weird in their first few games. And I think a lot of that stems from new to the world stage and new to the world's environment, and it makes things different.
Brother Jay, one thing you learned from week number 1 of games.
Well, I think one thing I learned is that just people are not. It seems like people aren't picking ADC carries like in the bot lane. It just seems like all of these really like niche picks are coming out. Like there seems like there's less value in the bot lane at Worlds. It seems like it's all about snowballing your mid lane and top laners and just having like stability in the bot lane. And it's just weird to see, like, I mean, I think we're all used to seeing Sneaky play like kind of off-brand picks, but like seeing him bust out a Sona and seeing Reckless kind of disappear from the meta because he's playing like Garen and Morgana is kind of interesting. And it seems like the marksmen are just like going more towards the mid lane. And to me, what that says about the meta is that it's just that the value is not found in the bot lane. Your value is found from like your support, like Helasang roaming around the map. Just those things are more important in this meta, and I think that's what I learned about this.
Colton, you're one thing you learned about from week number 1.
Research. Going into last week, I definitely tried to do some research going in. That didn't work, apparently. But I definitely, looking at the players and individual skill levels, a lot of us took J-Team for granted, and they beat FPX. They beat the #1 team in the B team. And looking at it, yes, their players have that skill level to do that. But also looking that, like K-Tad said, the FPX is a new team. J-Team is also a relatively new team to the scene, but looking at it, having experience helps a lot, and J-Team definitely surprised us, I think.
Now, we'll move on over to Leighton here for a second, but let's go back to his picks because we didn't reveal his picks up until our social media page back on Sunday, rather, I should say. And, of course, in Group D, where everybody's 2-1, he picks Team Liquid to go #1 here. But after watching week number 1 of games, Leighton, what is your one thing that you learned by watching all the games?
Yeah, pretty much like what Brother Jay said, like, all these weird bot lane picks, it's not even just like Reckless or Sneaky, like it's everyone. You see even Teddy in his first game against Fnatic, to counter out that Garen Yumi, he picked Kale bot lane. You've been seeing like Syndra bot is relevant again, Yasuo for Perks, or not Perks, or Perks bot lane now, which is interesting. So like, we thought like we'll go back to the ADC meta, like the traditional ADC meta, but these non-ADC metas are really interesting to see what they play out, what kind of strategies they develop for their teams.
All right, and I'll put one thing out there for my one thing I learned, and one thing that I have learned other than using the internet for picks.
And how to play League of Legends?
And how to play League of Legends. For those that don't know, I play Overwatch, not League of Legends, so that's a big thing for us. But the one thing I learned from watching it, never underestimate the underdogs. So J-Team coming out there, I think a lot of us were looking at J-Team not going this far, not even probably maybe getting 2 wins here.
Not a single one of us.
Not a single one of us. The underdog is mighty.
What are you talking about? That's my team, brother. J-Team.
You never picked them. No. You can't even say that. You didn't pick them.
We talked about this on air last week, and you did not pick them. You refused.
You refused to pick them.
I just didn't want to jinx them because
jinx them. You guys want a fun fact about J-Team? They actually were Taipei Assassins before they rebranded. So they actually, this team has the prestige already. They were the Season 2 world champions before they did rebrand. And I believe some of the previous players have helped J Team before coming to Worlds as well.
Yeah, but they picked the wrong letter. I mean, anything with J.
What? Well, go with K Team instead for K
They
Tad.
should have. Yeah, that would have been a better
Like
letter.
A team? That sounds so lame.
It sounds
Well,
almost
A
identical.
Team is trademarked, unfortunately. Sorry.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and we already did the one thing we learned from week 1. We'll go on and do since we're running out of time here, we'll do one thing you're disappointed in. And that's because I want to get a feel of, is it your pick? Is it you're kind of disappointed in a certain team, of how they're performing? What's all going on? We started off with K-Tat, so let's start them off again. One thing you're disappointed in from week number 1.
Literally every other team in Group C other than SKT. I was very, very disappointed that SKT did not end up 1-2 after week 1 because they could have ended up 1-2 after this first week.
3-0 though.
They ended up 3-0, but the only definitive game was the clutch game, I think. There was RNG had a window and they made a terrible macro call that lost them the game.
Are we surprised that Clutch? I mean, you said the definitive game was against Clutch, but are we surprised that they're in last place right now in this group?
Absolutely not. I put them at 4th for a reason, but I still think they could take a game off of SKT. The cheese game. The cheese game.
Brother Jay.
I think I'm most disappointed in Fnatic, more specifically Reckless. I had so much hope that he would be the person on that team that could really put him, into that space where they could push SKT and they could push RNG in the bot lane, but it just seems like it's either the meta's not there for him or they just don't trust him to play a carry down there. And it's weird because I love the way that Reckless plays. I love him as a player, and I think they just need to unleash him because I think he's an X factor on that team, and if he really played up to par that we know he can play and had maybe even a superb game, I feel like they could have beaten SKT and they could push RNG with Uzi in that bot lane. And I just think that he's been the biggest disappointment of Worlds for me.
Leighton.
Surprisingly, I'm actually disappointed in some of the supports, specifically the EU supports. Besides Hillisang, like Mickey X and Norscarin, you watched this morning's games technically, they did some really interesting things, going in randomly, getting caught out, what's happening? Because these are some of the supports I highly value coming into World, especially Mickey X and Hillisang, and they did all these rookie mistakes, which I did not expect them to happen.
And then Colton.
I'm gonna agree with Leighton. Although not on the same thing, I'm quite disappointed in EU as a whole. Coming out as G2 is the MSI champions and everything. EU had so much expectations coming into Worlds and coming into group stage, and for them to be with Fnatic being shaky against both RNG and against SKT, with Splice not doing so well with G2, having kind of shaky games as well in Group A, it's kind of like what is happening. Is EU going to live up to this expectation? And I'm curious what's going to happen in week 2.
All right, and then let's go on to one more thing here before we take the break. We want to figure out one prediction, and it's kind of like you're trolling thing, except for the fact that we have to make one bold prediction here as we go back to our picks and see if we want to make one sort of decisive statement that we want to make about the teams that we picked so far. And K-Tad's giving a huge sigh on air, so we may as well start off with him. K-Tad, your one prediction for week 2.
My one bold prediction, because it has to happen for my other bold prediction to come true, it has to be that SKT goes 0-3 in week 2.
You're trolling.
You're
trolling.
The only way my whole no Korean team makes it out of groups happens, because I actually believe Griffin will drop out and Damwon will not make it.
Hey Tad, if CJ beats SAT, I'll do whatever you want. Trust me now. That's a bet.
That's spicy.
Oh boy. All right, brother Jay.
All right, one swap pick. Okay.
Or one prediction, just one bold prediction in general that you think will happen in week 2.
I think J Team will come out first in the
Wow.
I like the way they play. They have a great name, Roger that. And I think just FPX has looked weaker than I thought they would. And I think J Team having picked up 2 wins and kind of gained confidence in knowing, hey, we can play on this stage. I could just see them gaining confidence as they kind of go through it. And I think they're gonna be the one to come out of that group with FPX if they play the way they've been playing and keep building that momentum towards getting them out of groups.
I'm going to steal this from the Animals because I work on their show every day, but if J-Team were to win out, I think that'd be pretty good. Colton, your bold prediction for week number 2.
I feel like I'm going against myself by saying this, going back to last week's picks, but I'm going to say that EU as a whole will go 2-7.
Wow.
Ooh.
2-7.
The NA?
Wait a second.
They're gonna
EU
pull the
going
NA?
2-7. Wow.
I think that G2 will be able to pull through, and they will get the 2 wins. I think the other 2 teams have a chance at going 0-3. There is a chance the Fnatic won't lose one of their games. I'm hoping that'll be true for my picks, but as a bold prediction, I'm going to say the EU will go 2-7.
All right, Leighton, besides the Team Liquid bold prediction, what is your another bold prediction that you have?
It's not that bold.
I want to
for
say
him,
something
though.
similar to Colton's. I'm going to say that only SKT makes it out of all 3 Korean teams. So Damwon not making it through, and Griffin not making it out of groups either. That's because Griffin looked a little bit shaky, especially in the top side of the map. Sword not performing up to expectations, and then for Damwon, like I put him second seed, but I don't think they're gonna make it out. I think IG and TL will make it out of Group D.
I'm going to make opposite of you. My bold prediction, because I need it to happen, Damwon gets the first seed in Group D.
Now you're definitely trolling.
You've always
I
been
need
trolling.
Damwon to get number 1 seed, or I'm in a little bit of trouble here. All right, when we come back, we're going to be wrapping up the show in our last segment. We're also going to be talking about a story that Brother Jay has, and it includes a little bit of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Why? Well, you'll find out on the other side of the break. This is CBS Sports Radio, and this is Squad Up.
Aloha and welcome to the University of Hawaii Minute with UH News. I'm Aulani Choi, a UH student. As the global esports industry moves mainstream, the University of Hawaii at Manoa's College of Social Sciences is in the game, preparing students for careers in this fast-growing field. Leading the charge into this arena is Niall Sky Calveloa, a graduate assistant in the School of Communications. His course, Esports and Society, is the first of its kind at UH Manoa and covers the rising popularity and significance of this growing industry.
No longer is it just 2 people playing competitive games, but it's the whole ecosystem that supports this entire sort of industry.
UH Manoa is sending its first team to compete in a national esports tournament. Find more information about this story and many others at uhnews.org. This has been the University of Hawaii Minute.
When you feel like Vegas, there's just one place to stay. Grab a drink at the Holo Holo Bar, there's just one place to play. We got a fresh, hot look, a new sports book. We got those local meals, just like Auntie cooks. Aloha spoken here.
Complete 4 and 5 night packages starting from $699. Vacations away, our favorite connection to Vegas.
Cheer on the Rainbow Warriors and the Rainbow Wahine all season long with a special edition 2019-2020 poster calendar. They're available for free at all 12 AT&T Oahu locations. While you're there, ask how you can purchase one of their most popular smartphones and get a second one for free. This exclusive poster calendar is also available at Jumbo Hawaii stores in downtown Stadium Mall and the Airport Trade Center. Be sure to try their brand new Vanilla Blue Sky Smoothie. Go Rainbow Warriors, go Rainbow Wahine.
From the ILH to the OIA, whether it's Division 1 or Division 2, no one covers high school sports like HawaiiPrepWorld.com. Check out Hawaii Prep World for the latest scores, rankings, features, videos, photo galleries, recruiting, and much more. Featuring expert analysis and stories by Paul Honda, Jason Kaneshiro, Nick Ambramo, Billy Hall, and more of Hawaii's best prep sports reporters. You'll find it all at HawaiiPrepWorld.com, powered by the Honolulu Star Advertiser.
Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is proud to bring you high school football on CBS Sports Radio. Every week, we'll bring you the best teams and matchups from around the state, culminating with the HHSAA State Championships, presented by Shopo. Also brought to you by Stroud Medical Center, Hawaii Iron Workers Union, Lean 2 Financial, Castle Resorts and Hotels, Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union, Hawaii Building and Construction Trade Council, PAXA, Hardware Hawaii, and IBEW Local 1186.
This is Squad Up, presented by PC Gamers on CBS Sports Radio.
I like me better when I'm with you. I like me better when I'm with you. I knew from the first time, I stayed for a long time.
Leighton's lip syncing, and K-Tad has his headset over his eyes. Welcome back to Squad Up here on CBS Sports Radio. K-Tad, Brother J, Coltoon 2000, Clutch Key, as well as our in-house guest, Leighton Martin, or Professor Leighton. here with you as we start to wrap up the show. Now, as always, we made our picks for League of Legends. We went through it. We had our strike the scores. We went through it all. But the one thing we always he's adjusting his headset. Oh boy, it's making a lot of noise, folks. He's adjusting his headset. K-Tad, have you figured it out, K-Tad?
We're good. Hello.
Good? All right,
Hello.
welcome
You're good,
back.
Grandpa.
Welcome
You're good,
back.
Grandpa.
All right.
Hello. Nice to
All
have you
right.
back.
As we always do, we love to do this, and I think even some people have come up to me and said that this is their favorite part of the show. So Brother Jay getting his own segment here. It is time for the story time, and Uncle Jay, go ahead.
I love this.
Thank you, nephews.
Thanks, Uncle.
Only on that
So-
side of the table.
I get one story today, but I mean, I feel like a lot of people have heard about this story, but it has to do with Fortnite, and I'll break it down for you guys. So, I mean, Fortnite is obviously a very popular game. People are crazy about it. There's these articles coming up about how people are suing Fortnite because they think that it's addictive and all these kinds of things, right? And so the story I get for you guys today is that on a worldwide, global scale, Fortnite rickrolled everyone. A form of rickrolling, I guess you could say. So, Fortnite, to introduce and kind of like leak their new season coming up, they decided to punk everyone. And basically people were playing, and it happens to everyone. At some point, the game just starts to morph, and what it seems like the entire universe collapses onto one singular point in the game. And then it goes blank. And all there's left on the screen
Dun, dun, dun.
is a small puka.
Girl.
Small puka.
Some call it the puka of life.
Hey.
However, the Howley scientists call it a black hole.
Wait.
And in Yu-Gi-Oh, you call it dark hole.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Also, that card is broken.
It's
It
also
is
bad.
broken. It is broken.
And so, a lot of people were very frustrated about the puka. And so, for those of you who don't know, puka in Hawaiian is hole. It's a black hole, okay? And there's a lot of people that were upset. One of my favorite reactions of that was Angry Grandpa. If you don't follow Angry Grandpa, you need to follow Angry Grandpa. He was very upset about the Fortnite black hole. There were kids smashing TVs. There were streamers just losing their minds because basically their entire, livelihoods were taken offline. And Fortnite showed a stream of just the black hole for how long was it? Like 40 hours?
40 something.
42.
Yeah, for like 42 hours.
42 hours? I didn't know this.
It was
Wow.
great. Twitch too.
And when
Yeah.
I turned it on, there were 200,000 concurrent viewers.
I was one of them.
How?
I mean, I
Of
don't
a
know.
black hole. How?
And my favorite part of that whole thing was Neil deGrasse Tyson felt the need to chime in and educate us about what a black hole is, which is very nice of him. I learned a lot, personally. I learned that there are things other than video games you can learn about.
Really? On the internet?
Yeah. The internet has lots of things on it. It's like a black hole for information. You know that?
Amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
See what you did there.
Exactly. Just kind of like my life is kind of like a black hole. But anyway.
Ooh.
I felt that.
That took a turn.
But anyway, yeah. So the story of today is respect the puka, but also Fortnite new season coming out. Everybody's stoked for that. If you've gone on, you're able to get on earlier today. For those of you who don't have a life, it's back on. Don't lose your minds. It's fine. New map looks dope. It's the same. It's similar, but it's different. But yeah, you'll probably see people just you'll just never see them again. People will fall back into the black hole of Fortnite.
I'd like to point out, too, that this is as big as anything else because, it's kind of sort of big. Earlier today on social media, on ESPN and on Sports Nation, they put up the Fortnite, the Chapter 2 coming out, and then it's kind of like they put it on a TV screen and everybody's like screaming and shouting and throwing beer all over the place. It's like the grand cheer of it all, and it's like, wow, you made it big when ESPN and Sports Nation have got you as a meme.
That's true. Yeah, parents are very excited. Also, if you want to tag us on our social media, if you love story time, let us know. I love doing it. For this next one, just tag us whatever. # respect the puka. That's today's story for you guys.
And again, Lincoln, and then that's not a bad idea. To respect the puka. Oh boy, that's gonna be a hashtag for a long time here on the show. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook using Squad Up HI. And if you want to, go ahead and tag us in anything. Again, Squad Up HI, and you can even message us. The messaging, it works on Facebook as well as Instagram, so you can go ahead and send us some stories that you want to as well that may appear on Storytime or not. We've only got a few minutes left to go, and they're fooling around on the other side if you see it on Twitch or whatnot. But Leighton, it was fun having you on here for the short time that you were on. Maybe we'll have you on again sometime talking more casting and all that once like KawaiiCon is over and all that, or other times as well. I'd also like to point out too that one of a great thing about Leighton too is he actually works within the esports world of some sort, but he does work at GameStop. So I believe you're a manager of some.
This is the manager, yeah.
Yeah, the manager at GameStop. So it's fairly interesting that no matter what you are in the world of esports, kind of here and there at a lot of times.
I hear too much Fortnite at work from little kids.
Yeah, go.
A lot of
visit
crying
him.
kids yesterday.
Yeah, which store do you work at again?
Pro Ridge.
Pro Ridge. So everybody go visit.
Go visit this man.
Go visit Leighton at Pro Ridge.
Yeah,
And
make sure you tell him to respect the puka.
Of course, I was the puka. I said the puka.
Also, real quick before we start to wrap up, big news today for Overwatch. Not only does the Halloween Terror event start today for those that play Overwatch, but also Overwatch releases on the Nintendo Switch. So if you have a Nintendo Switch and you want to play more ODub, that is for you. Final thoughts before we wrap things up. We only have about 2 minutes. We'll start off with K-Tad here. We'll go around the room real quick. Just one thing. What are you most excited for before we hit next show on Tuesday?
Worlds, baby. Worlds and Bjergsen being a part owner of TSM.
Yeah, we didn't mention that, but TSM now brings Bjergsen in, so that'll be interesting to see. Brother Jay, one thing you're excited for?
Same thing, Worlds, baby, and also I'm looking forward to seeing all the NA teams show.
Oh no,
you pronounce Korean teams wrong.
By the way, a Twitch comment says that bold prediction: NA makes it out of the group stages.
For real,
pretty interesting. That's
very bold.
That's a bold prediction on its own. All right, Colton, one thing you're excited about?
Gotta be the same thing. I'm excited for Worlds, although not excited for it to be so early in the morning, but you know.
At least for us, I think it starts at what, 2 o'clock in the morning?
3 a.m.
3 a.m. for us. Very, very early. So if you plan on staying up late, and again, it's in Europe, so it's going to be pretty interesting. And I believe the grand finals is in Paris, where the Olympics were held.
November 10th.
So November 10th. So stick around for that one. And then Leighton, you're one thing you're very excited for.
49ers keeping the streak alive.
49ers,
What?
all right.
Yeah, you.
5-0, baby.
5-0, baby.
5-0.
See, in essence, we are still a sports radio show. We can still talk about the Niners being undefeated.
Jimmy G, baby.
Wait a second. Who brought this nerd on to talk about sports? My goodness.
God, football?
Football?
Gross.
What?
Football?
nerd?
Come on.
What a nerd.
Oh, brother. I mean, hey, the Niners are doing really well right now. They're 5-0. Come on, man. Give us some
Yeah, they're
advice.
doing good, but I also think they're semi-fraudulent.
Semi-fraudulent. Oh,
I
you're
can't
getting
hear
looks
you.
over here, brother
Sorry,
Jay.
how many losses do the Raiders have?
Hey.
Hey.
We're rebuilding still. Okay,
Uh-huh.
look,
Very-
I respect the
Yeah, the
Niners.
stadium's
I just
being
don't
built.
Think,
I
I
agree.
just
Like the
don't think
past
their
10 years.
offense has the explosiveness it needs to get there later in the season. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, boy. We're going to have a long discussion as soon as we start to get out of here. All right, about 30 seconds left to go as we start to get the piano ready to go. And it's interesting to find out what's going to happen here again. Week 2 of World starts off, I believe, on Thursday for the matches. So we'll find out who's picked. And next week, we will find out who has to make their speeches and all that when the 4 of us are back. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to be arguing about Disney movies again. So we'll figure that one out. For all of us here in Studio Leighton, again, thanks a lot for coming inside the studio. For Brother Jay, for Coltoon 2000, for K-Tad, and for Professor Leighton, my name is Clutchkey. We'll check you guys next week for another episode of Squad Up.
Your radio home for high school sports. CBS Sports Radio. KHKA Honolulu. AM 1500.
Switch to Geico. Go to geico.com and in 15 minutes you can save 15% or more